r/AskReddit. Which is the worst single decision in history ever made by a person? Alan Savory, the ecologist who killed 40,000 elephants because it was believed that grazing was causing the desertification of Africa, only to find out later that elephants were essential to prevent desertification. In a thread filled with all sorts of villains and dumb ducks, this is the one dude who's making me disproportionately mad. You'd be happy to know that he learned from his mistake and went on to create an elephant sanctuary, if I recall correctly. He's a leader in the regenerative agriculture movement now, working to educate people about the necessity of ruminants for healthy grasslands. Alright gentlemen, we've successfully fended off the Greeks for 10 years. Our great city of Troy still stands. If we keep this up, surely they will realize the siege is fruitless and return home before long. Yo captain, there's this big ass wooden horse outside. Oh rad, bring it in. In the beginning the universe was created. This has made a lot of people very angry and been widely regarded as a bad move. The Donner Party of 90 pioneers choosing to take a shortcut when heading west from Illinois to California in 1846. Said shortcut led to them getting trapped in the Sierra Nevada mountains and resorting to cannibalism. The Donner Party stupidity chose to take a shortcut that was sold to them by a con man over the strenuous objections of serious and thoughtful pioneer guides. History repeats itself. Yup, he tricked them into blazing the trail. And by blazing the trail, I mean spending 2 weeks to move a few miles because you have to cut down every tree in your way. This error was compounded by an even more foolish decision. The Donner Party shot at Native Americans trying to bring them a deer to eat after the Native Americans saw the party starving to death. The decision by the Scottish to invade England during Black Death must be up there. Mao Zedong's revolutionary campaign, the Great Leap Forward, resulting in millions of people starving to death. How did they not realize moving all the people who grow the food into factories would result in famine? Interestingly, one of the other contributing factors was the state encouraging people to kill sparrows. Sparrows were regarded as a pest and it was thought that they were eating the seeds of crops. Thus farmers were encouraged to kill them. In actual fact, sparrows ate insects and helped keep the insect population down. Without the sparrows, the insects were left unchecked and allowed to feast on the crops, ruining them. Not the worst in the world, but apparently my family owned a little town west of Kent, UK. My great-great-great-grandfather got plastered one night and gambled it all away. Alcibiades was considered a traitor in Athens for leading his men to death. A traitor in Sparta because he got the queen to cheat on the king with him, and a traitor in Persia after including them in a war. Edit. So I did a little bit of info, and the switching sides and stealing statues dongs are also true, plus he is a bisexual. Not like there is anything wrong with bisexuality. Yeah, but he got away with it and had fun. And in the end, that's all that really matters. Maybe the real worst single decision in history ever made by a person was the friends we made along the way. Whoever said the world's biggest MMO RuneScape should remove the wilderness and free trade? They threw a literal fortune down the drain just because they didn't understand their own product. There's no more Wildy and you can't trade with other players now? There wasn't. For a time, the Wildy became a kinda hostile NPC zone. Wild trading was limited to equal value, give or take a token amount. Over time the restrictions have been removed back to good old days, but the damage was done. Damage is too far gone. So many hours chopping wood, man. Let's invade Russia must somewhere up the list, twice. Except for Genghis Khan. He came from the east. Cheetah, Now You See Me sequel not being called Now You Don't. Or man. I've been saying this for ages. Maybe the worst business decision ever made was by Xerox with their Alto computer. Xerox invented the graphical interface modern computers use. Desktop, folders, copy-paste, etc. They basically invented the modern computer in the 70s. But the problem was, the people in charge at the time were businessmen without any technical knowledge, so they didn't realize what they had. They did nothing with it and gave it away to universities and showed other companies. The famous story is that Steve Jobs saw this and within 5 minutes realized this was the way computers would work in the future. He copied it, because Xerox didn't patent their invention and didn't do anything with it, and the rest is history. Xerox could have been Apple or Microsoft, or both. They could have had a monopoly on the entire PC industry. Almost every company uses Windows in their offices. I think 80 or 90% of consumers uses Windows. That could have been Xerox. They had the tech maybe 10 years before anyone else. They could have been the most valuable company of all time, but they just gave it away. It wasn't stolen. It was licensed for 100,000 shares of Apple stock, pre-IPO, and led to the Lisa in 1983, a commercial flop, before the company managed to get back on its feet and make the original Macintosh a year after.